Namaste.
Hello, I am the European, and I wish all of you a great day. Thank you for watching. Earlier this month, the news got out that YouTube is planning to remove the public dislike counters from videos on their platform. And I think that's a bad move. I think the dislike counter is an important piece of information that helps viewers to assess what they are watching. But nah, YouTube says we need to remove that dislike counter. Here is Matt Koval from Team YouTube explaining to you why YouTube will remove those dislike counters.
Hey folks, you may have seen a while back that YouTube announced it was experimenting with making dislike counts private to only the creator of the video. Now, if you're like me, you were surprised by that.
No, Matt, we're not like you. You are an insider within YouTube, and people like you decide what millions of people from all over the world can upload and watch. And people like you or your colleagues, you can kick us from your platform whenever you want. So, no, Matt, we are not like you. So that I'm just like you trick is not going to work.
I've always thought seeing the number of dislikes on a video helps us know as viewers if it's a good video or not, if it's a helpful tutorial or not, or if what a creator is saying in their video is generally agreed with or not.
And that is exactly true, Matt. You can stop your video right here because you just gave some very good reasons that show why that dislike counter is so important.
But unfortunately, research teams at YouTube have found there's this whole other use for disliking a video that I had never experienced as a creator, and you may not have either. Apparently, groups of viewers are targeting a video's dislike button to drive up the count, turning it into something like a game with a visible scoreboard. And it's usually just because they don't like the creator or what they stand for.
Yes, what is wrong with that? Matt, you just gave a perfect addition to the reasons why that dislike counter is so important. If you don't like a YouTuber and if you don't like what they are standing for, then pushing that dislike button seems to be a completely legitimate and effective way to express your opinion about that. For example, Matt, you might know that YouTube is full of fake gurus who try to sell people these get-rich-quick schemes. They often use professionally edited videos that look pretty good, but they are still scammers. Since YouTube is not doing much about that, I sometimes go to these scammers' channels with the sole purpose of pushing the dislike button on multiple videos in order to warn other viewers for these scam activities. I don't like these scammers, and I don't like what they are standing for. Tell me, Matt, how is that not a good reason to push that dislike button? And if we organize and coordinate that, that might even be better, because then we can warn even more people for these scammers. How about people who are convicted criminals, who are known to abuse the trust of young people on the internet? There are some of them on your platform, Matt, and I don't like them, and I don't like what they are standing for. So whenever they pop up on my screen, I dislike them as a warning to young people who might not see through their malicious intents.
That's a big problem when half of YouTube's mission is to give everyone a voice.
Matt, if you want to give everyone a voice, then why do you take away people's voice?
Without a public dislike count, how can viewers tell if a video is worth watching? Again, I kind of had this question too, but it turns out that while viewers might use the dislike count to give them a sense of a video's worth, when the teams looked at the data across millions of viewers and videos in the experiment, they didn't see a noticeable difference in viewership, regardless of whether they could see the dislike count or not. In other words, it didn't really matter if a video had a lot of dislikes or not, they still watched.
No, Matt, that is not how you determine if the dislike button is useful or not. You are looking at the wrong data because it's not about the number of views. That is not so much relevant. You should have been looking at the change in the number of likes. If for example, you remove the dislike counter from a scammy video, and that would result in more likes for that video, you've just contributed to selling a scam to your audience. So analyzing data is fine, but please look at the relevant data.
Next common question. If creators can still see the dislike count on the back end, how's that any different? They can see it if they look for it inside Studio Analytics under the Engagement tab. But overall, it's much less likely to cause stress and embarrassment if the count isn't visible to the public.
And voila, there you go. You said it yourself, Matt. You want to prevent embarrassment for some YouTubers who apparently have an appalling like to dislike ratio. And this is exactly the main point of criticism towards your decision to remove the dislike counter. Your critics think you do that to protect some big, powerful YouTube accounts and not the little guys and the little girls. Why don't you address that?
And one more common question, is this because YouTube Rewind got lots of dislikes? No.
You say no, Matt, but do you realize how unconvincing those two letters just sounded?
All right, so that's the update. I hope it doesn't cause too much frustration. Honestly, I think you're going to get used to it pretty quickly.
What? That is really the worst argument of your entire video. You're doing stuff that you know will cause frustrations, but you tell us we'll get used to it? Is that the improvement strategy of YouTube now? Changing stuff that millions of your users don't want, and we just have to deal with it now?
This again is about protecting all creators and making sure they have a chance to succeed and feel safe in doing so.
So you want YouTubers to succeed and feel safe while doing so. I can understand that. But Matt, if YouTube wants me to succeed, then perhaps it's an idea to notify my subscribers when I upload a video, or to see what you can do about the fact that my channel lost about 95% of its views during the last few months. Those are big frustrations for me and for thousands of other YouTubers out there. But Matt, when listening to your explanation, those are not even the biggest frustrations. I'm mostly frustrated about the fact that you seem to leave out the most important parts of the reasons why these dislike counters are so important. I'm not a big, well-known YouTuber, but I've been around on this platform for about 14 years now. And during those 14 years, I've always tried to do what YouTube told me to do. Don't try to game the system. Just create videos that your audience enjoys. I've always tried to do that, Matt, because you told me so. And in general, my viewers reward me for that with a generous like to dislike ratio. To millions of YouTubers who have been working very hard for many years, that clearly visible like to dislike ratio is kind of an award coming from thousands of people from all over the world. I take pride in that. It's one of the key indicators for my success on YouTube, for what it's worth. And you, Matt, are now telling me that YouTube doesn't care about that because you don't even mention it. Instead, YouTube is now going to take that away from me and millions of other YouTubers who have been working very hard to maintain that high approval rating. And you are rewarding the YouTubers who make videos that are reviewed badly. If you want me and so many other YouTubers who have been working so hard to succeed, then why do you make even the modest success that I have achieved invisible to the world? Matt, in your video, you totally underestimate the importance of that like and dislike ratio counter and the profound feelings of those who worked for many years to maintain a high approval rating on your platform. And on top of that, you also choose not to address the main argument of your critics, which is that you want to remove that dislike counter not to protect the little guy, but instead to protect some very big and powerful YouTube accounts who have a very poor approval rating. And Matt, because of that, I disliked your video. And as it seems, I'm not the only one. Look at the like to dislike ratio of your video. While I'm making this video, it's over 250k down and only 70k up. What is your assessment of that? Is this a coordinated dislike attack? Are we judging you and what you're standing for? Or did you just make a bad video in which you seem to totally ignore the interests and arguments of millions of your creators? And thus that difference even matter? The main point is, we want to voice our criticism, and apparently YouTube now wants to silence that. But hey, who am I? I am the European, and I thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.